Welcome back. The latest polls in a theoretical head-to-head matchup between 2016 frontrunners Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump show the former Secretary of State with a double-digit lead over the businessman. Now, the latest Real Clear Politics average poll in a general election puts Clinton up by more than 11 points. And that's practically identical with the findings of a recent Fox News poll. But if anything, the 2016 election process to date, it has proven to be anything but predictable, to say the least. And a recent article in the Wall Street Journal caught our eye, just happened to. It's titled, "Yes, Donald Can Beat Hillary." And in it, columnist Bill McGurn writes, quote, "Sure, it's possible the GOP frontrunner will implode, just as it's possible all those polls showing Mrs. Clinton with a double-digit lead over Mr. Trump will indeed come to pass. But some of us who never thought that he would get this far are a little more reluctant to be so categorical about an election that is still 7 months away." And joining us now is the man who wrote that, Wall Street Journal columnist Bill McGurn. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thanks, Heather.
So this was very interesting, this article, and we'll get through some of the specific points in just a moment. But, I mean, it is, what, 7 months out?
That's right. Look, we couldn't predict the past. If people predicted this is where we'd be, all these governors, except for John Kasich having dropped out, Hillary Clinton unable to put away an aging socialist. No one would have predicted we got here. I just think it's premature to say anything categorical about an election that's still 7 months away.
But yet you say that Donald Trump could win in a general election.
Yeah, I think it's still open. I mean, we don't know what the events will be. We don't know if there'll be more terrorist attacks or so forth. Again, he could implode, but easily events could turn his way.
So let's take a look at some of the specific arguments that you take a look at in your article. Mr. Trump has high negatives, but so does Mrs. Clinton.
That's right. He has higher negatives than she does. And one of his very high negatives is with women. And we're going to see that on Tuesday, whether that has an effect, whether Republican women, especially conservative Republican women, vote for Mr. Cruz or Mr. Kasich over Mr. Trump in Wisconsin because of their dislike. So we'll get a little taste of that.
But in the general election, Mrs. Clinton, she's got her own problems with young women.
Look, people, the word they most associate with her is dishonest or liar. That's a problem in a general election, too. So it could be a battle of turnout or turnoffs. Who turns off more people?
So the lesser of two evils, basically.
There's a lot to that.
So when you look at some of the other demographics, we talked about young women, but also just young voters across the board. Who do you think would fare better?
I don't know.
Clinton has a problem.
I think my answer is I don't know. I think that there's a lot of wild cards here. Mrs. Clinton has a problem with young women as well. So again, it's a question.
Young voters, as I said, in general.
Young voters in general and young women and so forth. So no one has, I think, the clear advantage. And Mrs. Clinton very much needs the Obama coalition. Minority voters, young voters, women voters that help Barack Obama
Which seems to be the Bernie Sanders coalition. Do you think
to a degree, except for the minority voters. And so she has to fight for that.
But even with minority voters, she's lost about 10% ever since South Carolina.
The question is whether they would go for Donald Trump because it looks like he's polling at less than traditional Republican candidates among, say, Latinos.
But there has been some crossover in terms of independents. Specifically, I think Ohio.
My point is it's a big question mark. And, you know, if you can't predict the past, if your models don't predict the past getting us here, we should be a little skeptical about the future.
And also, you mentioned 7 months away, a lot can happen, as we've seen with the Brussels attacks, the Paris attacks. Paris attacks, those seem to benefit Donald Trump. And what
Mr. Christie for a while. But then sort of the attention wandered.
So who will that benefit for the general election?
I would think it's going to benefit Mr. Trump if that happens. I mean, it's a horrible thing to say, but because his rhetoric sounds tougher, I'm not sure his policies are actually much tougher.
All right, we'll see what happens. But like you said, this
7 months. Come back. You know,
campaign so far. Who knows? Bill McGurn, thank you for joining us.
Thanks, Heather.
All right.